This video was made in collaboration with NARUTOPEDIA. For more information, check out the link in the description. The life of Asuma Sarutobi from Naruto. Asuma Sarutobi was a jōnin of Konohagakure's Sarutobi clan and a former member of the 12 Guardian Ninja. He was also the leader of Team 10, which consists of Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, and Chōji Akimichi. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Asuma Sarutobi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Background. Asuma was born to Biwako and Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. During his academy entrance ceremony, Asuma became friends with Kurenai Yuhi. In the anime, during the Chūnin Exams, Asuma was placed on a team with Kurenai and Raido Namiyashi. He later cheered on his classmates during the third round of the Chūnin Exams. During the nine-tailed demon fox's attack, Asuma, along with the other young ninja, were barred from participating in the defense of the village by Shinku Yuhi and the other senior shinobi. A few years after the event, Asuma would become an uncle to Konohamaru. He later became a jōnin. About 7 years before the start of the series, he had a disagreement with his father and left Konoha to pursue his personal interests. During his absence, he became one of the 12 Guardian Ninja, a group that protected the Land of Fire's daimyo, indicated by the sash on his waist. During this time, he developed a strong friendship with the monk Chiriku, who would go on to become the head monk at the Fire Temple. Prior to returning to Konoha to resume active military duty, he had accumulated a bounty of 35 million ryo on the black market, something that he seemed to be particularly proud of since it was a testament to his skill, even bragging that his bounty was 5 million more than Chiriku. After returning to the village, Asuma resumed his jōnin duties and became a teacher of Inomatsu and presumably some more students. About 12 years after the nine-tailed demon fox's attack, seeing his classmate fall into deeper self-pity from losing Obito Uchiha and Rin Nohara, Asuma, along with Might Guy and Kurenai, decided to speak with the third Hokage, voicing their disapproval of Kakashi being in Anbu with such bitterness, and it suggested instead that he be reassigned as a jōnin sensei in the hopes of restoring Kakashi's kindness. Chūnin Exams. When Chōji, fearing the competition, contemplated forfeiting his match during the preliminaries of the Chūnin Exams, Asuma convinced him not to by offering to take him out for all-you-can-eat barbecue, yakiniku or Korean kalbi. Asuma also claimed that he'd stop the match if it got out of hand, as the other jōnin did during Hinata Hyuga's match. Both Ino and Shikamaru noted to themselves that Asuma didn't actually help in that instance. Konoha Crush. During the Konoha Crush, Shikamaru was left by himself to defend against a group of invading Otonin. Later, just as Shikamaru had run out of options and the 9 Otonin were about to finish him off, Asuma appeared and single-handedly defeated the group, saving his student. After the invasion, he attended his father's funeral. Search for Tsunade. During his brief battle with Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki, Asuma managed to catch Kisame off guard with his trench knives, leaving a cut on Kisame's cheek below the eye. Witnessing the blade made of wind chakra, Kisame switches to ninjutsu using the water release, water shark bullet technique, with Asuma seemingly still battle stationed with the blades. Kakashi Hatake arrived in time to copy the technique and used it to block the attack, much to Asuma's surprise. Asuma, Kurenai, and Kakashi then faced off with the 2 Akatsuki members, only for Kakashi to fall victim to Itachi's Tsukiyomi. Might Guy arrived just in time to stall the Akatsuki duo and buy time for the rest of his comrades who were about to get targeted by Kisame, leading to him coaching Asuma and Kurenai on the essentials on how to fight against a Sharingan-using shinobi when the pair fled to pursue Naruto Uzumaki, their true target. Asuma was later seen at Tsunade's inauguration ceremony as the new Hokage amongst the villagers. Sasuke Recovery Mission. Prior to Chōji's setting out with the squad assembled by Shikamaru to track down the renegade Sasuke Uchiha and the Sound 4, Asuma berated him for eating so much and not training enough. After Chōji's recovery from his battle against Sound Ninja Jirobo, he quickly regained his lost weight, but also approached Asuma for more intense training, which Asuma agreed to, with some admiration. Mizuki Tracking Mission. In the anime, Asuma and Kurenai were dispatched by Tsunade to bring the Chūnin criminal Mizuki in for questioning regarding his suspected involvement with Orochimaru. The pair arrived at the Leaf Village maximum security prison, only to be greeted by a swarm of released inmates, including the legendary Stupid Brothers Fujin and Raijin. Outnumbered, the two were beaten unconscious and later found by Naruto, who rushed them to the hospital for medical treatment. In Naruto's footsteps, the Friends' Paths. About 2 years after Naruto left the village with Jiraiya for training, Konoha decided to host an early Chūnin Exams alongside Tsunade. Later, as Team Asuma began discussing their joining the exams, it became noted that with Shikamaru already a Chūnin and therefore ineligible to join, it left the rest of the team short. After the first exam concluded, held in Konoha, Asuma and Kurenai acted as the second exam supervisors, informing the Genin teams that they weren't part of the 30 teams to arrive at the checkpoint, that they already had lost and couldn't participate in the second round. Later, after the second exam began, he, Kurenai, and Guy received word from Tsunade to be on guard for potential assassins towards Gaara, as many still rejected him as Kazekage. Part 2. Asuma made his Part 2 debut standing at the third Hokage's grave, where he commented on how he was finally beginning to understand what the third had taught him. Asuma confessed that he'd always been detached from Konoha, but after seeing how his father sacrificed himself for the village, he was now proud to be a member of the Sarutobi clan. Later, when Naruto began training to master Wind Chakra, he came to Asuma, who was also a Wind-type user, for help. Asuma agreed to give him pointers if he agreed to pay for his team's next meal, which Naruto forgot included Chōji. 12 Guardian Ninja. In the anime, when Team Kakashi returned to Konoha from their failed mission, he recognized a young monk named Sora from the Fire Temple who accompanied them back. He invited Sora and the boys of the Konoha 11 to join him at a restaurant to have a guy's day. Sometime after, he revealed to Sora that he knew his father and that he'd killed him for trying to kill the Hokage. An enraged Sora tried to attack him, only failing as a few Anbu members got in the way and Sora stormed off. Later, Konoha was attacked by members of Furido's 4-man team, reviving many shinobi. Asuma recognized some of the revived shinobi from the 12 Guardian Ninja, who planned on using a powerful technique to destroy Konoha. He fought Kitane and ultimately overpowers him. With the 3 members of Furido's 4-man team killed, the leader, Furido, remained. Asuma finds out that Furido was Kazuma, Sora's father, the man Asuma thought he had killed. Kazuma then releases the seal on Sora he embedded on him 15 years ago, revealing Sora to be a pseudo-Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tails. Asuma engages Kazuma in battle, and later with Sai's help, Asuma finishes Kazuma off. Ultimately, Naruto is able to stop Sora by releasing the Nine-Tails chakra sealed inside him. When the invaders didn't succeed, Sora, having came to his senses, departed from Konoha. Afterwards, Asuma was seen playing shogi with Shikamaru. Akatsuki Suppression Mission. Asuma was teamed up with Shikamaru, Kotetsu Hagane, and Izumo Kamizuki as members of the 20 platoons. His team, along with the entire group, was ordered to search for and, if possible, capture a pair of Akatsuki members who had entered the Land of Fire. Asuma and his team eventually tracked down the Akatsuki members, Hidan and Kakuzu, at a bounty station, where they quickly discovered that Hidan was immortal after their first attack. Hidan ordered Kakuzu to stay out of it, wanting to do this on his own. Asuma decided to be the one to physically confront him and took him on in a battle where Shikamaru backed him up from a distance with his shadows, keeping Hidan on his toes. The situation worsened when Hidan's counterattack resulted in him becoming linked to Asuma through a ritual. Hidan assumed a Grim Reaper-like form, causing any bodily damage to himself to be shared with Asuma, while at the same time not hindering himself at all. With some quick thinking by Shikamaru, who managed to break Hidan's ritual and pin him down, Asuma was able to decapitate him with his chakra-extended trench knives. Surprisingly, Hidan's severed head started to talk, uttering expletives at Asuma and then at Kakuzu for not helping him. Kakuzu finally stepped in as he admonished his partner for letting his guard down, and briefly attacked Asuma so he wouldn't stop him from sewing Hidan's head back onto his body. With Hidan's body restored, Hidan resumed the ritual and impaled himself in the heart. Though the blow did not instantly kill Asuma, it was still quite fatal. The rest of Team 10 arrived as backup, which, combined with a telepathic call from Pain, forced the Akatsuki duo to leave. Before dying, Asuma left some parting words with his students and smoked one last cigarette. Later, when Shikamaru exacted revenge upon Hidan for killing Asuma, Asuma appeared before Shikamaru and congratulated him for finally defeating the Immortal. After entrusting his will of fire to Shikamaru, Asuma disappeared in a puff of cigarette smoke just before his student finished off Hidan with a huge explosion. Also in his memory from the flashback, Shikamaru was finally able to understand who the king of shogi was in the real world. It is the next generation of shinobi, like Asuma and Kurenai's unborn child, and how they would learn to care and live peacefully by the great shinobi in the present day. That was why Asuma entrusted his baby to Shikamaru as apprentice and future sensei. Power. In the anime, Asuma was summoned by Kabuto Yakashi to battle Team Kakashi, who were investigating the massacre that he had brought about in the Tonika village to gain access to the whole. Quickly after being summoned, Asuma's coffin vanished, leaving Kabuto to question whether the impure world reincarnation was still incomplete. Fourth Shinobi World War, Confrontation. In preparation for the Fourth Shinobi World War, Asuma was reincarnated by Kabuto Yakushi in the fight against the allied shinobi forces. He was later mobilized alongside Hisashi Hyuga and Dan Kato. Informed by Dan of their current situation, he stated that he had an ominous feeling of what was to come. Relocating to the land of Lightning's coast, Asuma emerged from the sea amongst the White Zetsu army and a few other reincarnated shinobi, before engaging the opposing 1st Division. Confronting Chōji Akimichi with Dan initially, he soon separated from them and began fighting other shinobi, engulfing several in an enormous explosion. Asuma is later confronted by his former students, where he praised them on their growth before he engaged them in combat. Moving involuntarily, Asuma attempted to provide what assistance he could by advising them on the best methods to counteract his attacks. Although hesitant, Shikamaru and Ino are able to fight regardless of their reluctance to harm their teacher, but Chōji could not bring himself to attack his beloved teacher. This created an opportunity for Asuma to use his wind release, dust cloud technique. However, Ino managed to push Chōji out of the path of the attack. Asuma tried in vain to provoke Chōji, and even went as far as to call him fat, yet ultimately forced his comrades to come to his aid once again. Ino took control of Chōji's body in order to fight Asuma in his place, but when she attempts to press the importance of their actions to Chōji, Asuma exploited her distraction by attacking with his fire release, ash pile burning technique. Chōji, however, dived in front of the attack, protecting them from harm and finally providing Chōji with the necessary motivation after remembering the oath he swore as the next head of the Akimichi. Observing Chōji's newfound confidence and metamorphosis, Asuma happily encouraged him to defeat him. Overcome by Ino and Shikamaru's combined efforts, Asuma was unable to avoid Chōji's attack and was sent flying into a nearby cliff, where he is ironically immobilized with his previous weapons. After complimenting his students on their perfect formation, he thanked them, before being completely bound and sealed by the sealing team. Fourth Shinobi World War, Climax. Later, with the release of the Impure World Reincarnation technique, a light of sorts encased Asuma's sealed body as the technique was dispelled and his soul returned to the afterlife. Time Slip Arc. In the anime, an adult Sasuke and Naruto's future son Boruto Uzumaki followed Urashiki Otsutsuki traveling back in time, arriving shortly after Sasuke's defection from Konoha to protect the young Naruto from being abducted by the enemy. While Sasuke and Boruto pretended to be traveling performers so as to not change the timeline, Boruto was ultimately invited to join Naruto and Team Asuma at a barbecue restaurant, much to Asuma's dismay and needing to spend even more than usual. Legacy. Though somewhat understated, the legacy Asuma left behind was one of great value. Within Konoha and the wider shinobi world, he left a sterling record of military prowess, which many young Konoha shinobi look up to, wanting to emulate. He is also forever recognized for his prowess, having been selected as one of the 12 people deemed strong enough to protect the leader of their country. Though initially also confused about the role of the Hokage and the Will of Fire which his father told them of, Asuma came to understand all of these in time, and also came to appreciate his father and the role the Hokage played in protecting the villagers. Along with this, Asuma was also responsible for training the current generation of the famed Ino Shikacho trio, who are the future leaders of their respective clans, as well as completing the all-important ceremony concerning the 3 clans and the Sarutobi. He was also integral in assisting Naruto Uzumaki with his nature transformation training with wind release. Asuma left behind lover Kurenai Yuhi, whom he'd fathered a child with. The child he views as his king, whom he asked his student Shikamaru to protect with his dying breath, and years later his daughter would follow the footsteps of him and Asuma's father. Personality. Asuma was a typically laid-back individual, and did not get involved in things unless absolutely necessary, as seen when he decided not to help save Hinata Hyuga during her fight in the Chūnin Exams. He was a heavy smoker, but despite this, he would abruptly break the habit under certain circumstances, such as when his father died or learned that Kurenai was pregnant. Not always seeing eye to eye with his father, Asuma later came to respect his father's role as Hokage, referring to him as a great father, and was proud to have been born into the Sarutobi clan. Despite Asuma's very blunt personality, often calling his students what they were unreservedly, a glutton, Chōji, a loudmouth, Ino, and a slacker, Shikamaru, he had a very good relationship with all 3. He often took them to Yakiniku-Q for lunch and dinner, where more often than not, Chōji would eat too much and Asuma had to pay more and apologize emphatically to the owner. To help them overcome their underachieving natures, he attempted to use bribery and outright trickery to manipulate them into doing what he wanted. This was seen most with Chōji, whom Asuma was frequently able to entice into action with the promise of food, and even Shikamaru, whom he had to use games like shogi on to assess his skill level. Out of all his students, Asuma spent the most time with and was closest to Shikamaru. Asuma and Shikamaru often played shogi or go in their free time, though Asuma was never able to beat Shikamaru. It was Asuma who first discovered that the lazy Shikamaru was actually a genius, with an IQ of over 200. Throughout the series, it had been heavily hinted at that Asuma was romantically involved with fellow jōnin Kurenai Yuhi, having been close to her since childhood. The two appeared together in most of their scenes, and the other characters made it a point to note this fact on several occasions. When Kakashi Hatake found the two together at a dumpling shop, Kakashi asked if they were on a date, to which Asuma responded by quickly changing the subject. In a flashback, Asuma was shown buying flowers for a person he refused to name, though Ino asked that he say hello to Kurenai for her anyway, to which Asuma nervously asked how she knew about it. During Asuma's battle with Hidan and Kakuzu, Kurenai was often shown wondering about his progress, appearing anxious. When she heard of his death, she fell to her knees, grief-stricken. She later laid flowers on his grave during his funeral. The truth of their relationship was then made clear when Kurenai revealed that she was pregnant with Asuma's child. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.